Hey there. Thank you guys for being with me today. I am here with my special guest, Donna Kent. She is the founder of New Life Consultants. She helps build leaders to scale businesses. And we've been talking offline here for a little bit, and I am really excited to bring her to you today. Thanks so much for being with us today, Donna.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
So, I love to start out my episodes with talking about how it started and then bring it to how it's going. And so, why don't you give us a little bit of background on how you got your start in business and how that's kind of evolved over the years?
Sh- Well, I grew up on Long Island and I went to college at CW Post College, but I was able to get an international position through Syracuse University. So I graduated very quickly with that opportunity. And coming out of school at the time, you were a banker or in HR. And so I took the third option, which is to become a teacher. And at 21 years old, you should not be in front of kids with JD cards. So that didn't last very long, but I was lucky enough to be introduced to a company by the name of Xerox, who on Long Island had a very enlightened leader at the time. And he was actually looking for women who would be willing to forge ahead and pioneer the man's world of technology. And I was fortunate enough, after 6 interviews, to be selected. And I spent 25 years with Xerox and had not only an amazing career, exciting opportunity to be on the forefront of a young woman in a business that they were willing to give me opportunities that I probably otherwise wouldn't have had.
That's amazing. I also got my start as a teacher. Did not last. I lasted 12 years, maybe a little longer than you did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot longer.
Xerox, there's actually a Xerox, maybe a plant, a factory, not corporate or anything here in Oklahoma. So that's interesting. What did you do there? How did you, I mean, because you didn't go to school for anything like that, right? So how,
No, I was an English education major, but I had a thirst for learning.
Mhm.
And I just absorbed everything I could about business and sales. And I quickly was successful in selling machines, and which was crazy because I think a lot of the guys that were buying them were older men, like, my dad, and I don't know. They needed a product, but they thought that they were helping me, which was really very beneficial. In fact, I remember one guy saying, "Your father should be ashamed of you that you're schlepping machines." And I just thought that was hysterical. I never forgot that. But it was a great career. I became a sales manager quickly. I worked in New York City and had some of the most exciting worldwide and global clients.
Mhm.
And Xerox, to their credit back then, they just invested in people and people development, in giving folks an opportunity. We were trained constantly. And to this day, years and years later, after a 25-year career, I use an awful lot of the principles and the practices that I was taught.
One thing that you just said earlier was that although you studied for English education, that you were also a lifelong learner. That's what I got out of that. And I
Yes.
feel that way too. I think teachers have a really unique ability and passion for not just teaching others, which you also do
Yes.
in your life now, just in a different way. But we also have this passion for learning and growing constantly, right? So from your transition out of that 25-year corporate career, where did you go from there?
Well, it's kind of interesting because part of what I did was commit myself to giving back to women.
Mhm.
I was a pioneer. There were a lot of broken shards of glass at my feet over the 25 years, but resilience and perseverance was part of what I learned. So I share that with women. So when I got to Arizona, I was the president and CEO of the Arizona Technology Council, which really gave me a view of lots of other companies. And during that time, I was introduced to a company that was growing their business and women inside of an Arizona prison.
Oh,
So
wow.
we built that business. I was there for over 5 years. Today it's still growing, but it's amazing when people really want to learn and they dedicate themselves to learn. These are the best lead generators, bar none, anywhere. And so I had enough contacts in other major corporations where we were able to place this opportunity in their lead generation strategy.
Nice.
And so that was my start in growing small businesses. So I
Mhm.
went from corporate to grow small business growth, and that's really where I've been. My pivot was from growing those businesses in a more operational way, which is a more traditional way, to growing business by growing the leaders.
Yeah.
Because it became very evident to me the wrong person at the helm, no matter how good your product, your service, and your clients might be, the wrong person at the helm ultimately gets top stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can make or break the mission and the vision of the company.
Right, right.
So, what were some specific challenges, or maybe you didn't even have any, maybe you just thought it was time to make a move? What spurred you to transition out of that pretty successful career for the 25 years onto something else? Was there anything monumental that happened, or are you just like, I just don't think I want to do this anymore?
Well, I think my kids were really at the core of that. I had my kids later because my career really was the center stage. When I moved here to Arizona, my two were little and I wasn't home. And
Hmm.
so I, at that time, had a global position. I was traveling all over Europe and the US. And I finally, one day, I had to send my husband at the time to one of my daughter's events. And when I came home, she was just in tears. And she said, Mommy, no other daddy was at this,
Yeah,
and you weren't there.
that's hard to take.
Yeah. So that was it. So I said 25 years was enough. And I actually went back to teaching for a very short period of time. And then I really said, okay, what are the things that I want to do? I want to continue to grow businesses. So I just invigorated myself to do it in a different way.
Yeah, where you could have more time with your family, but
Yes.
still have the impact on the
Yes.
external. Yeah, I
Yes.
can relate to that wholeheartedly. I would cry at my desk after dropping my boys off to their classrooms, and I would sit there all day, and teaching people think, "Oh, it's just so easy. You get summers off or whatever," but it is not. And to I would miss out on my own children's activities
Right.
because I had to be there for other people's children. Like, it was just not matching what I wanted for my life either.
Right.
But I personally also wanted to have a more exponential impact. And I, after speaking with you, would think you would be kind of the same way because of the work that you do in all nonprofits and in profit things that you're
Yeah.
doing. So, do you feel that way too? I feel like in a classroom, I'm able to help, 30 kids at a time or whatever it is, 15, depending on where you are, maybe 50 if it's not, but whenever I stepped out to start helping founders and leaders get their knowledge out to the world, I helped one person impact thousands. So
Yeah.
my impact was exponential. So how
Yes.
does that relate to any about how you went about things or
Absolutely, because I always had a give back mentality. So whether I was working corporate or working small business development and growth, or even when I moved into my own company and started building my leadership development skills, certifications, you had to recreate yourself and get all of the other different tools and skills that you needed. At all times, I was giving back to the underserved, whether it was here in the US, here in the state, or across the world. I've been
Mhm.
to Africa 4 times. I continue today working with organizations that support the underserved. When you look in the eyes of somebody who's truly underserved
Mhm.
and you actually see joy, it's life changing.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, well, here, yes, we make beds and there's a young child who doesn't have a bed, which is heartbreaking. But when you look across the globe and see what others are dealing with, it gives you a different sense of who you are, what kind of a life do you want to have, and what kind of impact and legacy do you want to leave.
Hmm.
And so that's been hugely impactful for me personally, for my family and my kids, because they've come alongside me and, you know, work at it to some degree as hard as I do, but at least they're supportive of what it is that I want to get done. So business, personal life, and a legacy is my three-way triangle that I try to make sure that I am working those three passions every day.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the nonprofit service side that you developed and that you're still growing?
Yeah. Couple of them. Well, I worked with Habitat on their board for 8 years, and it's just obviously amazing, not only for what it does locally and nationally, but it does it internationally.
Hmm.
So when I started working with Acts for Rwanda, these folks lived in a hut, dirt floors. They were drinking water out of sewer runoff. And so we really worked hard to try to figure out how can we align the Habitat work to give these people shelter. So there was always a connection with what I was doing locally to what I wanted to accomplish internationally. So more recently, I've spent the last 8 years helping to develop one of the fastest growing not for profits in the country called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And we build beds out of raw wood. With 100 volunteers in 4 hours, we make 100 beds.
Oh, wow.
On October 30th, here, right in Phoenix, we will build our 10,000th bed.
Wow.
So I work closely with their national board, and here locally, I've just been named board chairman of the state of Arizona, and we'll start building out what we know and what we can do, not only for the Phoenix metro area, but for the other more underserved parts of Arizona as well.
That's wonderful. Do you have what's the URL for that? I want to put that I'm going to put that in the show notes for sure.
But
People can learn more
it
about how they can help you.
Yep, thank you. It's Sleep in Heavenly Peace. That will take you more than likely to the national, but it's Sleep in Heavenly Peace Phoenix. And now we'll start growing out Sleep in Heavenly Peace Arizona.
Nice.
We're on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. And the president of the chapter here in Arizona, Joe Genovese, is the most remarkable person. He has worked tirelessly. We now have a tax exemption credit, so people can donate not only to us during the year to do the bills, but now they can make a donation dollar for dollar with their tax credits.
Nice. Wonderful. That's the humanitarian side of things that you love to do. But I also want to now mention this new revolutionary tool you have for businesses. And I don't even want to butcher it because I don't want to say anything wrong. So tell us a little bit more about this tool that will be released to the masses, you could say, next year in 2026.
Yeah. So for the past couple of years, I've been working with a Swedish couple. She, the founder, is a brilliant mathematician, PhD scientist. She's just an incredible researcher, and she worked on teams, and that was her mojo. So over the years, developing the way math and science comes together, she's created with her partner a set of algorithms that now, together with machine learning and AI,
Mhm.
we have developed a tool that allows us to create unbeatable teams. So in the HR industry, which basically looks at assessments and surveys that are oftentimes very retroactive
Yeah.
or very introspective, this is now a tool that can gauge a team's engagement. And we do it with insightful phrases. And in 1 minute, every week, they respond to what we call a clue or a snap.
Mhm.
And the metrics and the insights that we're providing for team leaders, HR, and CEOs that own fast growing companies has been nothing short of revolutionary. The name of the company is Kluro, Kluero. We're out of Gothenburg, Sweden. And in 2026, I hope to bring it here to the US. We're not quite sure what state, but
Mhm.
we'd like it to be Arizona. And it's an amazing opportunity to bring real-time metrics to HR, an industry that really has not had a lot of technology to help it.
Yeah.
The other opportunity is to start to really move the mindset of HR professionals to say, how do I come up along the idea of AI and machine learning that says, I get the insights that are immediate. Now, how do I actually use those insights to shape, develop, and to align those teams with the mission, vision, and value of the company?
Yeah. So something we talked about earlier was a lot of people just because of their limited understanding really of AI and its capabilities, they tend to be a little bit afraid of it. We hear the fear mongering like it's going to take everybody's jobs or nobody's going to have a job anymore. But this tool allows the professional to just do a better job, really, than without it. So it's not going to take the job away from the human, but it's going to enhance the job and the position. Is that pretty?
Absolutely. That's the way we view it. And so if it's training, if it's coaching, it could be, hey, that's just not the right match. That person is just not the right fit, or that person doesn't have the right tools. We can uncover that. Or the manager is not rewarding or communicating or really listening to the team. So we can know, is it a team issue? Is it an individual issue, or is it a managerial issue?
And then you
That
can
is,
correct it.
yes, that's nirvana for an HR professional.
Yeah. So who
But, you know,
ideal company for this kind of tool? It's not meant for just maybe a little mom and pop business, or is it?
well, it can be used for anyone. I mean, we have small teams that are using the tool. It's not It's not a tool that you're gonna put more than maybe 15 people into it, because you really wanna be able to get the analysis. It's great for remote and hybrid teams.
Hmm.
Right now, we're focused on small to mid-size growth teams that might not even have an HR professional there. So we provide the coaching to be able to help the gaps and fill the gaps. But as we get better understood and we start to build a more collaborative bridge with HR professionals, the large company and corporate world will actually reveal itself.
Uh huh.
So it's like anything else, it's evolution, and we're very excited. We have about 10 to 15 team opportunities for the use in the US. So we're available to work together with a team. The reason we'd like to do that is because the way teams function, dialogue, communicate in the US is very different than Europe.
Right.
So before we bring it here, we want to make sure that we're teaching the AI and the machine learning algorithms how to respond to and understand and analyze a US based team.
Great. Yeah, that's amazing. So I like the fact that it's for like what I heard was a company that maybe isn't quite ready for an entire HR position or department. They can have access to these really high level tools with guidance from
Yes.
someone like yourself that then for really, I would say it's a fraction of the cost of hiring a full time HR person.
Yes, our early adopters between now and the end of the year, there's no cost. All the value goes back because we're actually receiving the benefit.
Right.
But once we do bring it to the US and we commercialize, the cost is, software should be reasonably priced. So we want it to be reasonably priced because it's not a one and done. It's like leadership through quality or lean manufacturing. You want it to learn and you want it to continue to bob and weave as new people come onto the team, as the vision of the company changes, as the industry migrates and new challenges come about. So we price it so that it is not something that you use for a month or two or for 6 months. This is something that becomes an integral understanding of the fabric of your teams inside of your company.
Wow, that's incredible. So is that going to be your main focus for 2026?
For that company, that will be my main focus.
It's incredible. What an opportunity. How were you connected with that company? Like, how did you get out there and find something like that?
I just find that I have a fairly extensive network. I'm very active in the community. I've got long-standing relationships. People kind of know who I am and what I do. And I kind of have a personal brand reputation, like give it to Mikey.
Yeah,
I'm one of the ones that, hey, give me that business challenge. I'll give it a shot.
right.
So we're 2 years in the making, and that is a really exciting breakthrough. My other exciting breakthrough is in healthcare, leading a new company that has developed an optimization platform for clinical trials for oncology and non-oncology. That's a lot more niche
Right.
and specific, but the woman who has developed this platform is also brilliant. So I'm naturally attracted to brilliant women.
Yeah,
So,
that's incredible. So, if there was a person that wanted to have more exposure to these kind of opportunities or maybe be more aware of all the possibilities that are out there, what would you suggest for them? What kind of advice would you give them to help them get exposure or get their name out there or find these opportunities? What if you could say do this one thing, what would that be?
I would say network. You've got to be involved. You've got to be engaged. And you can't be networking and engaged wanting a return on investment. You just keep giving. You just keep giving. And if you look at life as abundant versus scarce, if you keep giving, the universe returns it to you. It might be years down the road or
Mm.
whatever. I'm chatting with a person this afternoon. I haven't spoken to him in 9 years.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we have an opportunity to connect on one of these opportunities, but it'll just be more of like good friends getting reacquainted. When you give of yourself and you're willing to network and spend the time investing in other people, it comes back to you.
I definitely agree. And I think networking gets a bad rap. Just the word makes people get the like shade like a little bit because we're conditioned to do networking in such a me way about like going to the chamber of
Right.
commerce events or going to a conference and just hoping that you can get some business or somebody will buy your thing. But networking really isn't about that, is it?
No, card swapping networking is just sort of a selfish approach
Yeah.
that oftentimes reaps very little results. What I'm saying is have a conversation with enough strangers or people that you might find of interest and ask them the question, how do I support you?
Right. Yeah,
And if you
what is easy for you could be so challenging for someone else, and you could maybe one conversation could pivot their entire mindset, right?
right.
Just from that, and the
Yeah.
same can happen to you. That's why I love having conversations like we're having now because, of course, I'm giving you the opportunity to share your story, but I've learned so much, and I get to learn so much from everyone that I speak with. It's just incredible. So
Yeah.
I love it, and I'm really grateful that I reached out to you. I actually networked to you.
No, I love it. And I like that because then I feel like not an obligation, but I feel a curiosity to want to know what is it? And then all of a sudden this alignment, and we've talked about 3 or 4 other referrals and alignments
Yeah,
just in the little bit of time we've been together. So
yeah,
emotionally intelligent people not only know themselves, but they have a unique curiosity about others
mhm.
and how they support others. And that is just a gift uh, and I'm very grateful that's part of my gifts and talents.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
One last question. What is one leadership truth you believe everyone needs to hear?
You have to know yourself first. Self awareness is everything. Because if you don't understand what you project, then you can't make intentional ways to receive. And that is the human being communication that makes us such different vital and impactful people while we're on this earth.
Wonderful. I love it. If people want to connect with you, Donna, where is the best place for them to do that?
You can go right to LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest. It's dkent55 at Gmail.
Okay, that sounds great. I'll put that in our show notes as well, so the links will be there for everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and I hope that we get to have more conversations in the future.
Oh, I would love it. Thank you, Amanda.